Welcome back to Father Son DIY Garage. Today my dad and I are going to show you how to build a backyard grilling station.
This build features the Denali 425 from Monument Grills. We're going to show you all of its awesome features later on in the video. We've got a lot to show you in this video, so let's get to it.
The first step in this project is the framing. We got some 2x6 pressure treated lumber and we are cutting 2-foot long pieces, and that's going to be the base for the project. We laid those out on the ground, and then we got some 2x4 studs, and we cut those up to frame out the build. We used our cordless Milwaukee framing nailer to put 2 3-inch nails in every single stud. We'll have the link for this tool and all the others in the description below, in case you guys want to follow along on the build. We took our time with this, just making sure everything was nice and square. There are going to be 3 pieces that come together like a puzzle for this grilling station, and all the sides we're framing up right now are for the first piece that is going to house the fridge. We took those walls over and nailed them down to that pressure treated 2x6. Connected those sides. Then we got out our skill saw and began to frame up the second piece. This piece is real small. It's about 2 feet by 11 inches. Same thing, nailing that down to that pressure treated 2x6. Then just nailing some blocking in between to hold it together. We then brought out our Denali 425 to make sure it was going to fit nicely between these pieces. And we did the same thing with our fridge. We actually had to take off that top 2x4. And this is the back side right here. Once those were all framed up, it was time to get the sheathing done. We chose 1/2-inch OSB plywood. Marked out all of our cuts and then cut them all down with the saw. Here's our little bottom piece going in. And we're shooting these all down with some 2-inch nails. If you guys haven't been here before, this is Father Son DIY Garage. My dad and I, we build projects around the house. And if you like what you see, give us a subscribe and comment down below, I subscribed. We are putting OSB on every part of Here we are sheeting that smaller piece. We have plywood on all the sides that are not going to be directly in contact with the grill. And for the sides that are in direct contact with the grill, we decided to put some cement board. So this kind of cuts the same as drywall. You score one side, you snap it in half, and then you score the other. And then we put it on with some cement screws.
My thing is, on this,
we chose to do this over plywood because it is fire resistant, and a little peace of mind when you're grilling goes a long way. You'll see here we are putting on some moisture barrier just to prolong the life of the project, to protect the framing. We're doing that for all the pieces. And since we cut out that 2x4 for the fridge, we are supporting it with some metal braces on the top. Just some steel flat bar. Then it was time to get into our stainless steel top. And the first thing we tried was just putting it over and hitting the sides down, which worked all right. But it didn't look the prettiest. Luckily, it's going to be covered by the stone. For the other piece, I decided to score some marks. That way we would get some nice, clean bends. Still had to hit it with the hammer a few times. But all in all, it turned out better than the first time. Just went ahead and screwed that right into the framing. And that was done. Then it was time to put on our veneer stones for the outside. These stones get shot on with a finish nail gun. But before we got too far, we realized the problem. Since you're going to have spaces between the stones, you're going to see that white moisture barrier. So we attempted to spray paint it black. But since the paint was wet, the moisture barrier did not allow it. So it was an epic failure. Luckily, we had some building paper laying around the house, so we went ahead and stapled that over the moisture barrier. And we were able to shoot our stones on. These stones are from a company called Evolve Stone, and they are really awesome because you can just shoot them on with some stainless steel finish nails. And you can also cut them with a wood blade on a saw. So even a carpenter can do this kind of work. No mortar, no grout, just cutting and nailing. And there's only about 4 sizes, so that way it lines up to get you to the next stone. We went ahead and connected all the pieces with some metal brackets. And the reason we did these in pieces is because if we ever wanted to move it, we would be able to take 4 stones off, take these 4 brackets off, and then move it piece.
Since we have a refrigerator with this build, we're adding a plug and 2 outlets. The first outlet is on the inside, and that's going to power the fridge. And then we decided to put another outlet on the side of the barbecue build, so that way you can power any accessories like a rotisserie.
We decided to try our hand at making some concrete countertops to go with this grilling station. So the first step was to get some 3/4 inch melamine and make some forms out of it. This melamine is really good for it because once the concrete's dry, it does not stick to the form. So we cut all of our pieces and screwed the sides on with some 2-inch screws. And this big piece here is going to go right above the fridge. And this skinnier piece here that I'm forming up is going to go on the back side. We went ahead and put some caulking in all of the joints. That way no moisture slipped out the side of the form. Then we cut down some rebar with the bandsaw. Just having a little bit of steel in the concrete is going to give it a lot of strength. And you'll see here I'm tying up all this rebar together. Then it was time to mix up some concrete and get this thing poured. We went with 5,000 PSI Quickcrete concrete and used some concrete charcoal coloring. We just added a little bit of that concrete dye to darken up our mix a bit. Then we began adding water and mixing it up. I just like to kind of flip it over in the beginning. That way you expose that dry concrete. And then you can add more water as needed until you got a nice slurry. And once it's nice and mixed up, you add it to the form. This skinny form took 1 full bag of concrete, so when it's all said and done, it's going to be a 50-pound piece. We went ahead and filled the entire mold up and then put our rebar in. Then we picked up the mold and shook it to vibrate all the air bubbles out and get that rebar deeper inside the mold. The better of a job you do vibrating the concrete, the less bubbles you're going to have. So with that first one poured, we went ahead and mixed up our second batch. And this second mold took about 2 bags of concrete, so when it's all said and done, it's going to weigh about 100 pounds. About halfway through, we added the rebar and then began to vibrate it. And then filled in the rest on top. We used a 2x4 to screed off all of the excess and fill in all those gaps. We let the concrete set up for a few hours, then came out with our trowels, did some edge work and some smoothing out. This is actually going to be the bottom because that melamine gives that top a nice flat finish, as you'll see when we peel off the mold. And with everything done, we went ahead and took it apart, and we're getting ready to move it to our final location. Took those brackets off, pulled it apart like a puzzle piece, and we transported it to the backyard. Once in the backyard, we put it in like a puzzle. Got those brackets screwed back in. And we were able to cover up those brackets with a stone. And we went ahead and used some finish screws, so you're not going to see them, but you'll be able to take them off.
Here we are putting the Denali 425 together. This barbecue went together really easy. It came with simple, easy to follow instructions, and it took us about 1 hour from box to completed barbecue to put together.
An awesome feature this grill has is its light up burner knobs. When they're off, the light is white. When they are on low or medium, it's orange, and when they're on high, it's red. You'll see it really pops as the sun goes down. And it has this electronic ignition, so there is no lighter needed. And here I am prepping our pizza stone by Monument Grills for a pepperoni pizza.
One of the awesome features of this grill is this window where you can see the food as it's being cooked. Check that out.
We're not pro pizza makers by any means, but this pizza turned out amazing.
We really like the countertop we put on this barbecue build. It gives us a nice space to prep food while still hanging out by the barbecue with our friends. Grill also comes with a convenient side burner. Makes it real handy to do all the cooking outside and keep the mess out of the kitchen.
This temperature screen on the side of the grill shows you the internal temperature as well as any probes that are inside of the meat in the grill. Alright, so one of the awesome features about this grill is it hooks up to your phone with the Monument Grills app, and you can see the inside temperature right here, 214, same thing on my phone. And then we've got our probe that goes into our meat. We can plug that in, and you see how it says the temperature of the probe. So it's 50 degrees right now because it is outside of the grill, but we're gonna put it in our tri-tip here, and we're gonna be able to monitor that the whole time. The app makes it really easy to set timers for different types of meat. You just click on what you're cooking. In this case, we are cooking up some beef. And we can select when we want to be notified that the meat has reached this temperature.
Ready?
Yeah. Once the temperature of the meat is reached, it gives you a nice notification on your phone to tell you to take it off.
Here's to another successful build.
We want to give a huge shout out to Monument Grills for sending us the Denali 425. It's an awesome grill, and it was the inspiration for this entire build. So thank you to them.
Hey, we had a lot of fun doing this. Hope you enjoyed the show, and check out the links in the description below for all the tools, materials, discount codes. Everything you need is right there.
Thanks for tuning in to Father Son DIY Garage.
Cheers.